Alive, barely.
Go with Kenyon starting. What goes into that?
Well, that was something we were considering, way back even in January, building him up because of the excellence that we had in the back end of the bullpen with Nelson, Kelly, and him, and others that are matchup guys that we believe in. And obviously taking a look at how our starters were doing, and that was an option that Kenyon could be in either role. And not that he's been Mr. Automatic, because he's had some spectacular innings, but he's also had some innings that got away from him as far as throwing strikes. And his walk total is per inning is higher than he wants it, or Coach Dietrich wants it. But we feel like he could pitch in either role. Nelson and Kelly are short guys. That's what they should be. And we need some troops or some improvement in the consistency of our weekend starts. Acuna's had 2 decent outings out of the 5, but has shown some inconsistency. And make no mistake about it, he's not totally out of the picture for the rest of the year. You certainly hope that Jovan and Summers will continue to give us solid starts on Saturday and Sunday, and James gives us key outs, whether it be a midweek start or a long relief or short relief opportunity. And Stringer, we don't think his arm situation is going to keep him out all year. I don't know how many weeks he'll be out, but he's
got a while.
A couple weeks, so he's a little bit out of the picture this weekend. And we've liked what Summers has done. He looks in character, and we got him out a little bit early just because he hasn't started a whole lot, but hopefully he'll give us some consistency on Sunday.
Jovan's ability on offense change because now you've got 2 days you're not going to get out of the bullpen? Does that adjust what you do with him?
That could simplify that a little bit too, competitively, that when he's in the DH role, if you had an inkling, and he's the closer, if you had an inkling to pinch hit for him or pinch run for him, that's tough to do, to take your closer out of the mix, if he's on the board. But this way we know when he's pitching, and if he is in the mix as a designated hitter, he could actually hit when he's starting and then come out as a pitcher and stay in the DH role. So it simplifies that. He's made some strides and some improvements as a hitter, and there's some things we worked on over the weekend to hopefully make him more of a contender, either as a DH or off the bench, to give us maybe a power bat off the bench. So he's working hard. Can
start and maybe help him get some of those control issues done too. That'd be a different deal, coming in not inheriting guys maybe on base, or kind of starting clean each inning.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know what his mindset is, but certainly you don't want to be a high walk guy as a starter, because you won't get very deep into the game. And he'll have to use more of his arsenal, probably more consistently, his changeup, as well as the 2 breaking balls. And as a closer, you pretty much come in throwing what you're going to throw, fastball, maybe one of the 2 breaking balls, and you don't necessarily need 4 pitches to be a closer if you got 2 good ones. And I don't know if that simplifies the walk part of it, adding another pitch or 2, but we'll see. I know him and Coach have worked hard, and he's picked up some things mentally, and I heard him, there was a couple things about the mound that weren't comfortable for him, and his delivery and different things like that. So he's a work in progress a little bit on just feeling comfortable.
Does Ryan and Kelly, do you have one guy's the 8th, one's the 9th? Do you want to look at matchups, kind of decide with him? Do you have a closer, or are they both kind of by committee there where you can feel good?
By committee, I think it's fair to say, simply because when we bring Ryan in, that changes the dynamic of our lineup a little bit. We're not afraid to do that. If you bring Nelly in sooner than Kelly, Nelson sooner than Kelly, then that means that the lineup's distorted, either for the good or the bad, one of the 2, because you did that sooner. So it would make sense that if we're going to use both of them, we'd probably go Kelly first and Nelson second.
You mentioned all the time about getting up off the deck. You liked these guys last week going down there. Did you see anything there that concerns you long term, or do you feel like you guys can kind of become back to that team you thought you were going into at a non-conference?
I think surprised. We're all surprised that we disappointed. I was a little confused at times. Quite frankly, we were all embarrassed. I'm not pointing fingers at my team. I'm the head coach. I was embarrassed about some of the things that went on there, and we're going to discuss that. And I love my team. I love the kids, and I think their response will be work smarter. And, they've worked hard right from day one, but as soon as things started going sideways, I thought instead of sharpening our blade, so to speak, and refocusing and regrouping and doing things with a more focused, confident effort, we came apart at the seams a little bit, and we didn't do anything well after that. We didn't pitch as well as we capable. We didn't hit as well, didn't defend as well, didn't run the bases as well, and the offensive production for the state of Arizona was anemic. And they all know this, it's not. So the surprise part of that is the way we responded to the adversity, not so much the adversity itself.
Is that going 0-3 suddenly raises the urgency, I guess, here, right? I mean, suddenly you're 0-3 and
we're
Cal's
with four
coming in
other
here.
teams, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got, but
that was a unique weekend for the Pack,
all these sweeps.
4 sweeps.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Cal comes in here now.
Yeah, well, there's no looking across the dugout and saying, "Oh, this is going to be easy." They're really good. They're hitting 318. They got two guys over 400. They got a guy with 11 home runs. And they can really score runs. And Mike New's a good pitching coach. And we're not looking ahead at all. I can guarantee, oh boy, we can get healthy on Cal because they were very competitive against a great Beaver team. So it isn't none of that. It's just the game of baseball. We got to play better. The good news in the Pack. As long as somebody doesn't run off with things like happened last year, it's a good league to be in when you get off to a slow start, because if you get things in order, anybody can beat anybody in our conference. So that parity, if you play well and string out some good weekends, you got a chance to be right in the hunt very quickly, in my opinion. And in some conferences, you have a stinker of a weekend or whatever, and the favorites get out in front of you, and you're one of the favorites, you may never catch them because the mid-pack and the lower teams, echelon teams, can't even touch the front runners. So anyway, it's a long haul, and I guess if you're going to have a really terrible weekend, the first one's probably the best one to have, I guess, if there's a silver lining.
Do you have a plan for the pitching staff on Monday, or is that going to depend on what happens over the weekend?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see who's available. Non-conference is never as important as conference, and we'll use whoever we have to use to get through the weekend, and then we'll see who's available on Monday.